I'm Blackbright. I'm broadcasting out of the UK into your homes. Welcome to my channel. First time you're passing through, like, subscribe, share, and interact with my subscribers. I've decided to go to Jamaica today because I haven't done a video on Jamaica for a while. But I couldn't ignore what I'm about to report today. You know me, I don't like injustice. I don't like to see people, who have been hard done by. So when I kind of get a grip to an unfair situation, I do have to speak on it. Now, the unfair situation I'm talking about is that an 81-year-old man died. His name was Noel Chambers. He was in prison for over 40 years. And he hadn't even been convicted. And I think sometimes when we hear about innocent prisoners going in and being, staying in jail for years, but they're usually convicted of something they haven't done. The sad thing about this particular gentleman is that he had no convictions at all. What it says is Prime Minister, the Honourable Andrew Holness, has expressed condolences to the family of 81-year-old Noel Chambers, who died while in custody at the Tower Street Adult Correctional Centre in Kingston. Mr. Chambers, who had been incarcerated at Tower Street since February 1980, died earlier this year after serving 40 years in prison without being tried or convicted for an offence. Speaking to a virtual press conference at Jamaica House on Friday the 5th of June, Mr. Holness said the death was brought to his attention this week. He says, "This is both tragic and heartbreaking, and I would like to express my sincere condolences. This tragedy is undoubtedly ranked among the most dreadful inheritances of the penal and judicial system that is in urgent need of reform," he said. But I'm trying to think, how the hell can somebody be in jail? They haven't been convicted of anything. It's not like they've been convicted for an offence they haven't done. They haven't even been convicted. What the hell was he doing there? And what is sad is that nobody has come to speak up for him. Nobody has kind of said, look, this gentleman has been in prison for so long. We don't know why he's here. We haven't got anything on him. I mean, don't they have periodic reviews, for Christ's sake? I just don't get it. It looks as though they've just put somebody in prison and thrown away the key. But that means there could be so many in prison and, they're not supposed to be there. And I mean, we're talking about people, sometimes we're talking about prejudice and we're talking about black people being wrongfully convicted. And yes, many have. And, they've done 40 years or goodness knows what else. And it's bad. But I think this is worse. I think it's worse because he hasn't been tried and he hasn't been convicted. I don't know what the hell he was doing in there. That's what I don't understand. I can't understand how somebody can go in prison and they just forget about him. I don't know if he had mental issues, why he couldn't speak out for himself. I don't know how that could happen. Now they're talking about doing an audit. But I'm like, why do we have to have such tragic circumstances before things are put into place, before things are done properly? I mean, when you think about George Floyd, I mean, you would not believe the resolutions that have been made since his death, and people have been protesting. I'm going to read out some of them to you. Within 10 days of sustained protests, Minneapolis bans the use of chokeholds. George Floyd's murderer was originally charged for third-degree murder. He's now been charged for second-degree murder. The other 3 officers who stood on the scene and did nothing to help Floyd are being charged with aiding and abetting second-degree murder. Breonna Taylor's case has been reopened. Louis, Kentucky mayor is ordering an outside review on the entire city police department. Dallas adopts a duty to intervene rule that requires officers to stop other cops who are engaging in inappropriate use of force. The New Jersey Attorney General said that the state will update the use of force guidelines for the first time in 2 decades. In Maryland, a bipartisan work group of state lawmakers announced a police reform work group. A seminar scheduled in December for KC Police that trains cops to kill without hesitation has been cancelled. You hear that? There was a seminar planned in Kentucky, in KC. I don't know what that stands for. I don't know if it's Kentucky. To train cops to kill without hesitation. And that seminar has been cancelled. So how can we expect police officers to behave appropriately if they're training them to kill without hesitation? A Los Angeles City Council introduces a motion to reduce LAPD's $1.8 billion operating budget. MBTA in Boston agrees to stop using public buses to transport police officers to protests. Police brutality captured on camera leads to near immediate suspension and fringes of officer in several cities. Anyway, my point is that why does it take such mass injustices for things to be done properly? I mean, this poor man, 81-year-old now, he's dead, 40 years in jail for nothing. Not even that he was convicted of something and they found out he was innocent. He hasn't even been tried. 40 years. There should be some kind of system in the prisons, like in the UK. I don't know if it's every 5 years they periodically review cases to see when they're due for parole. So I'm assuming that in Jamaica they don't have that. They can't have it because how could that happen? How can someone be in jail for no offence for 40 years? There's obviously no monitoring or review process. Why didn't his family step in? I mean, it's all right to step in after he's bloody dead. What good is that? I mean, that's what I don't understand. I don't understand when you've got a member of your family in a situation like this and you don't step in until, it's too late, and then you're looking to sue the government. I mean, where were you 10, 20 years ago? Not even that long. 5 years ago. 5 years after he was in there. 15 years ago, 12 years ago. Where were you? So it really, really grieves me when I see things like this. It's a sin. I don't know if his behaviour was undesirable while he was in prison. I don't know. I'm just trying to think. How can a man be in prison for no offence for 40 years? It's beyond me. I guess when you see people in prison, you just assume they've committed a crime. That's the only thing I can think of. I mean, what else are they doing in there? But even a murderer would have been eligible for parole after 35 years. Even a murderer. In the UK, Criminal Cases Review Commission receives 130 applications a month from prisoners claiming to be innocent. That's another thing that needs to be looked into. Another thing that needs to be investigated. Innocent people in prison rotting for something they haven't done, something that's been contrived. Sometimes it's because the police are waiting for evidence. Whatever it is, you've got people in prison who don't belong there. In the UK, the incarceration of the Guildford 4 and Birmingham 6 were declared unjust in the 1980s and 1990s. They were only in there comparatively for, I think the Birmingham 6 were in there for 21 years, and I think the Guildford 4 were up to 14 years. But they got £1.2 million. There's Ricky Jackson, Cleveland in America. He was in prison for 39 years for something he didn't do. Craig Coley, now 71 years old. He was released from prison in 2017 after 40 years for something he didn't do. He got 21 million, which is £16 million, because he was wrongfully convicted of murder. Richard Phillips, he did 46 years in prison. He only got 1.5 million. I don't understand how one can get 21 million and another who's done more years only gets 1.5 million. I don't understand that. But my point is that they were convicted of something they didn't do, murder in all cases, or rape or whatever. But this man wasn't convicted of anything. Oh, can you imagine his days in prison? He can't have spoke up for himself. The Minister of National Security, Honourable Dr. Horace Chang, has commissioned a comprehensive audit into the circumstances leading up to Mr. Chambers' passing. They need to do a comprehensive audit of all the prisoners in there. That's what they need to do. And I think all prisons should do that. Do an audit. Who's in there? Why are they in there? How long is it taking them to get the evidence? Most of these people, they're waiting 39 years and then they're finding out, the DNA doesn't match. Or they contrive some witnesses, the witnesses didn't show up or whatever. But whatever it is, they're in there under false premises. A key outcome of the audit, he said, will be a detailed multi-agency examination of the loopholes that do exist across the system in order to ensure that we remedy any likelihood of this situation repeating itself. This unfortunate situation must result in a complete and comprehensive overview and overhaul of the system to deal with custodies in general and those with underlying mental and physiological conditions, he noted. So he obviously had some kind of mental condition, why he was neglected, why nobody helped him or supported him or backed him or spoke up for him. I mean, even the police officers, but there again, they probably change. The thing is with these systems is that you have people coming in, different officers coming in. Probably people leave, new people come in, and you see somebody there, and you're just going to assume they're criminals. I think that's what's happened. I think they've had a changeover of staff, and they don't question it. And if he's mentally challenged, he probably can't speak up for himself. I think that is an absolute sin. 40 bloody years. The Prime Minister Andrew Holness said further that it is my position that no one should be lost in the penal system, and certainly anyone who has served more than 35 years should be considered for release. I wonder how many more are lost in there. I wonder what this is going to raise. Going to open up a can of worms. I bet you there's a lot more in there who are not supposed to be in there. Because it can't just be one person. It can't. All that does, you know, it's a shame people have to be sacrificed, because that is what George Floyd was, a human sacrifice to take the lid off of, you know, the injustice of, you know, some of these police officers. And now this man, Noel Chambers, he's now a living sacrifice. Well, he's now a sacrifice to show the injustices and how people can be lost in the penal system. Innocent people. I mean, it's ridiculous that somebody can be in jail for 39, 40 years. And yes, you're going to give them 1.2 million, but you're bloody 71. Your whole mindset, every part of you has been destroyed. Every part of your self-esteem, unless you were in there and you were studying and you had a resilient kind of a mindset. And you was able to, you know, because some people, they go into jail and they literally study. Some of them come out as doctors. They come out as all philosophers. They come out as all sorts. And if you're of that type, maybe when you come out and you get 1.2 million, you're probably going to be all right. But at bloody 71, I'm not saying that you can't do anything at 71. But, you know, how do you feel? Are you able to raise a family? Are you able to have a family? You know, your whole life has been robbed. And the abuse that goes on in some of those prisons, it affects you mentally. I don't understand how, like I'm saying, if he had mental issues, he would not have been able to, he might not have had the cognizance to apply for parole. Normally, a parole board decides when prisoners who are serving certain types of sentences can be released. So what happens to those who are not charged for an offence? Because it wouldn't come up, would it? If you haven't been charged for an offence, it's not going to be triggered that you're due, that, you know, I'm not quite sure. I don't understand how somebody who hasn't been convicted of anything ends up in jail in the first place. Is it something where he was overnight, you know, he was drunk or something, and they just put him there overnight and forgot about him? Anyway, I think that's all I'm going to say for now. My videos are getting a bit long, and, you know, I don't really want that. So that's all for now. Bye-bye.